on. Stop being that way. Whoa, he's thirsty tonight. One more minute. less than a minute.
Do you want a man for president who's seasoned through and through, but not so doggone seasoned that he won't try something new? A man who's old enough to know
and young enough to do.
Well, it's up to you, it's up to you. It's strictly up to you.
But it's Kennedy, 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 Kennedy for me.
Kennedy,
Kennedy, Kennedy, Kennedy.
Do you want a man with spirit who is not afraid to fight?
A man whose record shows that he will fight for what is right.
A loyal man who'll bring the job a fresh new point of view. Well, it's up to you, it's up to you. It's strictly up to you.
'Cause it's Kennedy, 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 Kennedy for me.
Kennedy,
Kennedy, Kennedy, Kennedy.
And do you deny to any man the right he's guaranteed to be elected president, no matter what his creed?
It's promised in the Bill of Rights to which we must be true.
So it's up to you, it's up to you. It's strictly up to you.
And it's Kennedy, 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 Kennedy for me.
Kennedy,
Kennedy, Kennedy, Kennedy.
Do you like a man who answers straight, a man who's always fair? We'll measure him against the others, and when you compare, you cast your vote for Kennedy and a change that's overdue. So it's up to you, it's up to you, it's strictly up to you.
Yes, it's Kennedy, 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 Kennedy for me.
Kennedy, 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 Kennedy.
Welcome, welcome, welcome from my humble second bedroom here in the Saucon Valley, part of the Lehigh Valley in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, part of these United States, North American continent, Western Hemisphere of this planet Earth, the only one we have. Third rock from the sun in the Terran solar system, part of the Milky Way galaxy. This is the Kennedy Effect, live with you for the 21st of December, 2025. Our last live program of 2025 and through the holiday season. Great thanks to all of you for being here, as always. It is very, very good to see you. I'm so glad that you're all here and here hanging out with me here on a Sunday evening. Guests flowing in to the chat room as the one, the only, the impressive, the super, the massive, how am I doing? The one and only Taz joining us for tonight. We're going to be discussing basically just the year in review. A loose, I shouldn't say relaxing. It'll probably tense the crap out of all of us, but a looser, if you will, just group discussion. Yesterday, GCPR had its production meeting, and those are always entertaining. We should probably broadcast them, to be honest with you. They're pretty fun. We should probably just...
They're a hoot for us.
They're a hoot for... Yeah, I mean, we probably should just broadcast them. They make great live content. And I just threw it open to the entire staff of GCPR that they were welcome to drop in, drop out, hang, not hang, whatever it is for the entire program tonight. And Taz was nice enough to do so. We could very well see some more faces come in and out as the night goes on, and that's great too, as this is our last live program of 2025. We just want to take a look back at the year that was in all its glory. The year that was 2025. What do you think of? So before we actually get the program like really rolling and underway, let me ask all of you then, of course, what do you think of when you think of 2025? When you think of the year 2025, what comes into your mind? Is it ICE? Is it fascism? Is it recession? Do you have happy thoughts of 2025? Do you have sad thoughts of 2025? Or is it neither in between? Does it make you think of, were you struggling or were you succeeding in 2025? Or maybe were you doing both, struggling yet succeeding? Possibly doing both. What were you thinking of in 2025? As always, the chat is open in Facebook and in YouTube. We welcome your comments and questions. We welcome your comments to help drive along the conversation. Talk to me, talk to Taz. Phone line is open. We'll get to that in just a second, but let me get to the business end of the program first. You are watching the Kennedy Effect live for the 21st of December, 2025. Once again, our last live program of 2025. We are live right now on the Facebook pages of Our Revolution Pennsylvania, Ghost Claw Productions, and of course our home base for all things that surround our program, the Kennedy Effect on Facebook. We have shared the program to about over 100 different places on Facebook as well, to every single individual and group that shares and allows us to share onto their little corner of Facebook universe. We say thank you, thank you, thank you. We couldn't do it without you. So 2 pages, our group, and about 100 other groups across the Facebook universe. We are also live right now on 2 YouTube channels because, gosh darn it, one enough is not enough to hold us. We are live right now on the YouTube channel of GCPR. Go to YouTube, search GCPR, and you will find us. We are also live right now on my YouTube channel, which is very simple, just kind of like the Facebook group, The Kennedy Effect on YouTube. Very, very simple to find. The Kennedy Effect on Facebook, the Kennedy Effect on YouTube. Very, very simple to find us either place. And you can, everything that you can do watching us on Facebook, you can do on YouTube. You can comment, chat with us, watch live, and of course, once the program is over, you can watch the recorded version of the program right there on YouTube as well. The audio of the program blasts around the globe via 2 global internet radio stations. One, of course, one of the very, very first, hot101.net, HOT101.net, hot101.net. You can listen to hot101.net, by the way, completely free at our website, which is our name, hot101.net. But you can also use our apps, Apple App Store for Apple devices, Google Play Store for Android devices, and the TuneIn radio app for all other types of devices. Go up to the search bar, type in hot101.net, and you can be listening to us. The apps and the website are completely free, and they work about as easy as you could possibly imagine. You download, you open, and you are listening. Done. No credit cards, no retina scan, no blood samples. Don't have to sign over a second mortgage, sign over your firstborn, none of that stuff. You download, you open, you're listening, and that's hot101.net. We are also live globally at gcpr.live, gcpr.live, Ghost Claw Productions Radio.live. Go to our website where you can listen to the program as well, and of course our fully functional Android app works the same way. If you have an Android device, go to the Google Play Store, download it, open it, you're listening. Done. Super, super simple. We will be with you at least for an hour, or as long as the conversation kind of carries itself along. I am expecting there is a possibility that we could be seeing other guests as the night goes along. And again, we just want to kind of chat with you about the year that was, with only 21st is 31 to 10 days left in the math, just doing some math. I'd say 9 days. This 21st is basically over, isn't it? With the 9 full days left in the year. We're talking about 2025 and the year that was. What do you think of when you think of the year 2025? Donna says in the chat already, chaos, lies, and stress, and worry, etc., etc. So nothing good from Donna so far for 2025. So let me bring in my esteemed much wiser guest than I, of course, and much solid radio veteran and podcasting veteran and just veteran, period. The heck with it. We'll just go with that. Taz, welcome to the program. Thank you so much.
It's past time that the two effects come together.
Yeah. What does that make us then?
An
effect squared.
Effect squared.
All in caps. It's something serious. So let me ask you the same question I'm asking everybody: is what do you think of when you think of 2025? Is there a word? Is it paragraphs? Is it a really long story? Is it good? Is it bad? Is it stressful? Is it... When you think 2025, what do you think of?
A resurgence of a combination of the 1920s and specifically 1963.
You would say that recent? I tend to think 1840s and 50s.
I would say that, but the 1920s drew from those times, and that's why I also say 1963, because the resurgence of fear-mongering when it comes to activism and targeting leftist and liberal activists is very reminiscent of 63. And I'm saying the 1920s, 1930s, because this time around, the only difference is the United States isn't hiding its fascism and its allegiance to fascism, where previously we tried to pretend as if we were wanting to stand on the right side of history, where we didn't really want to.
Would you say that? Would you say that we're in a third Gilded Age? It would seem to me that we are.
I would. The only bright side that I see in all of this, and this is me digging into my hope chest, my historian hope chest, is that we're on the precipice of another enlightenment. And that is what gives me hope.
Well, if we're to believe the 80-year cycle that I know Thom Hartmann talks about a lot, and that history has shown to be pretty spot on, we have economic calamity, war, and then a progressive enlightenment following that. So is it your hope or your informed opinion that we're going to skip the war this time? Because the economic calamity is well on its way. We're only 1 month away from having an official recession. While the market remains high, I've been talking about on this program probably for the entire 7 years of it, that the market is really not a good indicator of the economy at large, or the kitchen table economy, if you will. It really is a poor indicator of that. It's a great indicator of how the rich are doing, how the investor class is doing, and how corporations are faring, but not necessarily how the 99% are doing. It tells you how the 1% is doing pretty well, tells you how the 1% is doing. I don't think it tells you how the 99% is doing. But we are a month away from an official recession. Jobs are down. The country has lost between 2 and 3 million manufacturing jobs just this year since the onset of the second Trump regime. So are you hoping that we'll skip the war part of this 80-year cycle, or do you see the war part coming with increased activity on the coast of Colombia and Venezuela?
Now, for a while, I was wrestling with the war component of all of this. There was a part of me that was hoping that this time around we would skip the war component. And then earlier today, in different conversations, a few people said something that really got me thinking. And I realized we all need to change our mindset when it comes to war. We are looking at war in a more traditional sense. We are already in the throes of the war. We're not skipping this war. It's, are we going to have another global war? Because we have a war with the federal government and citizens and residents in the United States. We also have a war of intellect and a war of morality going on We have multiple genocides that we are funding, which are essentially wars. And we are definitely, if no one else intervenes, on the precipice of a war for the sake of oil yet again. We're not going to
Another
skip over
oil
it.
war. Yeah.
Yeah, another one. We're not going to skip past war, but I think we have to broaden how we look at things. Just as the terms and definitions evolve, we have to evolve our mindset. And a lot of times, and I'm saying this as someone who, like I said, till today, very guilty of this and being kind of narrow minded, and how I'm looking at some things right now in the world, and I'm actively working on changing that. When we're thinking about war, because even how we engage in war is changing. No longer is it, the Saving Private Ryan scenes. We're using more drones and more technology, and it's less physical casualties for us. But we are engaging in a multitude of wars all at one time. And because we're not changing our mindset to truly encapsulate the evolution of definitions in our societal vocabulary, we're missing a lot of things. And we're still sitting here going, oh, we have time. Oh, we have time. No, we really don't. We really don't. We have to figure out what side of history we want to stand on, and how we want not just the history books to view us as a society, but how our historical legacies will remember us individually.
You said something that made me think of a different story, so it's going to be a very long-winded question. Which, I'm very good at on this program, very long-winded questions, very diatribe type questions. One of the most interesting things that seems to come up in the history of this country is the argument between the differences between the very substantive differences between two words, of and from. As I'm sure you are well aware, during the Continental Congress, when the original Bill of Rights was to the new Constitution was being argued, it was Jefferson that thought we should have a freedom not of religion, but from religion. And the big differences between of and from. You mentioned in your last answer a war of morality and intellectualism. Is it a war of or a war from?
I originally thought that it was from. I did. For a good chunk of this year and the majority of last year.
I think this demonization of intellectualism in almost this war on intellectualism is a predicate to kind of dumb down the rest of society. So in this almost in this prosperity doctrine sort of way of like, you don't need to worry about how these things operate. You don't need to worry about how government operates. You don't want to listen to those East Coast liberal elites, even though Ted Cruz graduated from Harvard and Josh Hawley graduated from Yale, and onward and onward and onward. Some of the top MAGA Republicans are East Coast.
Yeah, they are.
Elites. That's Trump from Wharton. That.
Yeah,
and on and on and on.
They love to cosplay the common person, but not really be on it. And I thought that it was from those things until I remembered something. I remembered that for decades, at least 35 years, that I can account for by witnessing myself. The making it cool to be anti-intellect, to making it a way of quickly being profitable and quickly being popular, to be anti-intellect, anti-moral, or just pretending to be oblivious to it. And then I realized something substantive today. Lockdown from COVID and certain subsets of each community no longer wanting to be shunned because they crave to honestly live morally, and they crave intellect just like the body needs air, nutrition, etc. So there is a shift. And this is why people are kind of segregating themselves, but this time not segregating because of religion or because of race or ethnicity, but segregating in regards to the conversations they can have, the think tanks that they can share with amongst one another, and things like that. And this is why I'm saying because right now we have intellectuals pretending to be ignorant. They still want the accolades and the praise for their intellect, because you'll see from time to time they'll sprinkle it out there, and it's becoming less easy for the stupid to become powerful, to become rich, to establish generational wealth. We're past the days of Paris Hilton pretending to dumb herself down in order to continue to be a millionaire.
Billionaire.
Yeah,
Actually,
once
she
she
is.
started to show her actual intellect, she moved
Yeah.
into billionaire status.
Yeah, she is an actual billionaire.
Yeah, we're moving past Nicole Richie pretending to dumb herself down. We're moving past a lot of people pretending to dumb down. I remember a time of, the dumb bros like Pauly Shore, and these now dumb bros, you're realizing, are masterminds in their wheelhouse. We've moved past that, and it's a matter now that there is a war between the ones that were pretending and the ones who took the red pill and decided to live that life, decided to never learn anything, that decided to live in a fake comfort of ignorance.
Maybe more than making it cool, so to speak, isn't the modern, I hate to say leadership, the current power structure in the country, I hate to say leadership because there's no leadership, there's only one political party left that functions, but the party that's in power, for the lack of a better term, the group maybe I should say, that's in power, haven't they done a little bit of both? We can be smart. We'll be smart for you. You don't have to study all this stuff. You don't have to be Harvard educated. And by the way, you wouldn't want to be anyway. It's not cool, which is kind of against what I'm trying to argue, but not necessarily making it cool to be stupid, but easier to be stupid. Just try to just work. Just work and be labor, and we'll take care of everything else. We the so-called smart.
To me, it's very reminiscent of the time of the British aristocracy when they still had the baronets. And I say specifically that time because they wanted to lead the country, so to speak, but they only wanted their family and their closest friends. And their closest friends within the aristocracy is who became the baronets. They really didn't have that royal lineage. They could be the smart ones. They could be the wealthy ones. But they waited too late to start truly educating their own and encouraging education amongst their close friends, that they didn't have the money. They had to beg, borrow, and steal from other people. They had to go to the less educated and get the money from them. And they in turn started to dumb down their line, and they had to get rid of the baronet title because the baronets began to be stupid. And that's what we're doing. When people get to a certain point where they look at it as, I want my family to rule forever because that's the way we're going to keep power and we're going to build generational wealth, they lose sight for the future. They lose looking past 2 hours from now, Because if you dumb down the populace, who's going to be savvy enough to be your best consumers? Who's going to be savvy enough for you to invest in? Who's going to be savvy enough to be the next round of innovators that you need and are a requirement for you to continue to keep up in the industry that you want to dominate? You not only get rid of your consumer base, you get rid of your employment base. And they're not thinking of that. They're thinking of, oh, I'll do this for my children. But CollegeGate a few years back taught us one thing. They're not even truly educating their children at this point. So who is left to actually lead?
I have talked about this on this program repeatedly. It would seem to me that if these so-called captains of industry were really as smart as we give them credit for, they would understand that bankrupting the 99% automatically destroys their own businesses. When we can no longer, Henry Ford, when we can no longer afford to buy what they make, how do they make profit? Now, we found that they have found other ways to make profit, like oil wars and moving numbers on spreadsheets and hedge funds and cryptocurrencies. They've found other ways to make money and create it out of thin air to a great extent. But imagine the brains. Imagine where we'd be as a planet, how smart, how forward-thinking we would have patted ourselves on the back as a species if ExxonMobil in the 1950s, when it knew it was killing the planet, had decided, let's just take 1% of our net profits and invest in wind and solar. They'd be the largest wind and solar company on the planet, and they'd be dominating the market and making probably more money than they're already making, and they're already making obscene amounts of it. But yet they're the so-called captains of industry. They're supposed to be the smart business people.
And what's even more egregious about their mindset is most of these companies, most of these conglomerates are diversified in ways that people wouldn't think. Like the Kors company. Most people don't know the ceramics, the luggage, and everything else that they have under their umbrella. And it's like, that you can diversify. That there's profitability in it. And given that we live in an age where we've seen coal come and go, the dot-com bros come and go, you would think that eventually they would choose to evolve and do better and be better, but they don't. They're looking for, okay, we're going to ring this money rag as dry as possible. We're going to ring it until it's nothing left but shreds. And then what? Because when you use up not only the natural resources that are out there, their biggest thing is they always like to convince us that there are two sets of society, that there's a set of consumers and there's a set of workers. And people really live their lives believing that. And it's like, no, there's a duality in society. We are the worker people and the consumer.
Yeah.
We create the goods and services and we buy the goods and services. Mm-hmm. If you get it to the point where all I can do is create the goods and services, there's not enough of the 1% to sustain one another. If I can no longer purchase a car or keep up the upkeep on my car or buy a used car or even a bicycle, it doesn't matter what you do with oil, I can't buy it. Neither can my neighbor, neither can my neighbor's neighbor, etc. If I can only afford to eat once a week, it does not matter what deals you cut with other countries to lowball everybody else to sell it. If all I can do is afford to show up to work for you. Right. And eventually, because of poor mental health, poor physical health, and lack of funds, I'm not going to be able to work for you for much longer.
Right. What perfect way to end an answer right there. That's perfect. 6:30 p.m. because we're at the bottom of the hour. Time for me to reset the program. You are watching and listening to The Kennedy Effect live with you for the 21st of December, 2025. Our last live program of 2025. Our special, very special guest is Taz. We're doing kind of a year in review, kind of a talk about, as you know, from a historical standpoint, and not just because 2025 is in the past, but from a historical standpoint, we love our history here on the Kennedy Effect, a merging of the effects, if you will, here on the Kennedy Effect tonight for the 21st of December. We are live right now on the Facebook pages of Our Revolution Pennsylvania and Ghost Claw Productions. We're live right now on our home group Facebook page for all things that surround our program, the Kennedy Effect on Facebook, plus over 100 other places where we have shared the program across the Facebook universe. And for all of you who allow us to share our program onto your groups and pages, we say thank you very, very much. We could not do it without you. We're also live on 2 YouTube channels because one, gosh darn it, just isn't enough. GCPR. Go to YouTube and search GCPR. We are on the GCPR YouTube channel right now. We are also live on my YouTube channel, The Kennedy Effect on YouTube. It's so easy to find us. The Kennedy Effect on Facebook and The Kennedy Effect on YouTube. Very, very simple. Very easy to find us wherever you wish. We are also, the audio of the program blasts around the globe via 2 global internet radio giants, hot101.net, hot101.net, Apple App Store, Google Play Store, and the TuneIn radio app, as well as our main home website, hot101.net. And of course, by the way, I neglected to mention at the top of the show, you can tell Alexa to play hot101.net. GCPR.live, listen through our website and our Android app, GCPR.live. Special hello to all of you watching and or listening from outside the United States. A very special thank you to all of you as well. The show, of course, is brought to you by Smooth California, Smooth CA Online, natural skincare. You can create a healthy skincare lifestyle with Smooth California, a family-owned skincare formula whose main purpose is to promote healthy skincare lifestyle. Smooth California is a healthy alternative to commercial products filled with chemicals and man-made additives that will not only do damage to your skin, but to your body as well. Smooth California products are tallow-based, made with 100% natural ingredients, without naught preservatives and additives. We strive to make your skin stay healthy and smooth. Phone line is open, 267-227-9189, 267-227-9189, 267-227-9189. In the chat, Taz Patina says, this year was tough. It was still so hard for me to fathom, especially with ICE and overall feeling of this idiotic administration. I saw some glimmer of hope of people standing up and protesting. I have not seen this in this country, but for some reason Congress doesn't seem to care. The politicians seem very confident that the will of the people does not matter to them. Randall also asks in the chat, you can comment on either or both. And your earlier answer talking about history there in Europe, were you talking about the Rothschild family?
We can talk about the Rothschild family. But going back to Congress not caring, I would hold off on saying that. And I'm going to say this. And those listening, please, it's very easy to give pushback, but hear what I'm saying. We've gotten to a point in the United States that we've turned politics into a volleying of talking points, of grandiose interviews and actions, and we've gotten away from the scope of their job, legislation, and fighting for legislation. So a lot of people are proclaiming that all of Congress has been a lame duck because that's what we're looking for. We're looking for the exposés. We're looking for the quippy, clip-farmed interviews. We're looking, for the moments where somebody uses great alliteration to take down an opponent. There have been a multitude of people on Capitol Hill working to push through legislation to stop a lot of what the Trump regime is doing. And those that people have come to associate with the current MAGA faction of the GOP are trying to show that they are not a part of that faction, that they are just good old Christian right or just a part of the conservative movement. And let's not forget that the Birchers still exist as a faction of the GOP, but they're doing their job. They're just not out here doing a bunch of interviews because that's not what we're paying them to do. It's great for them to do interviews to keep us up to date on what their plans are and what legislation that they're working on, but I'd rather them work on the legislation, and we need to keep that in mind. It's not that they don't care. We've just gotten a little too accustomed to politics being like the Super Bowl, the World Series, the Stanley Cup. That's not how it's intended to be. Politics is actually quite boring and quite tedious.
It should be. It used to be. We have turned it into American Idol. We've turned it into a sporting event, and we've turned it into bumper stickers. Mm-hmm. That, the person who says, I knew John Kennedy, I worked with John Kennedy, John Kennedy is somehow the winner.
Yeah, because legislation, change, activism is not quick. It's very tedious. It's filled with rewritings, reworkings, editing. It's long hours. But we're used to the
and it was designed
circumstance.
And was designed to be that way.
Mm-hmm. Because just like a lot of people love to bring up, for example, the Montgomery bus boycott. Okay, it's a great talking point. It was a great distraction, but it accomplished nothing. It accomplished nothing. What accomplished change was the Supreme Court case. The Supreme Court case that was heralded by a 15-year-old girl, Claudette Colvin. There were adults that backed out of the case. But we don't talk about her. We don't talk about the legislation that happened because of the case. We talk about the pomp and circumstance behind the Montgomery bus boycott. And we don't even talk about it properly because we don't talk about the people who actually did the work. We talk about Dr. King, who came in like he did in multiple cities, made a big hullabaloo, and essentially left a mess for other people to clean up. I'm not downgrading the work that he was actually able to accomplish, but more often than not, he came through, he made a mess, other people cleaned it up. And this is what we get used to because this is what we're fed. And when I talk about deconstructing, a lot of people think that I'm speaking only to white people and I'm talking about only deconstructing from racism. No, if you have been educated in any way, if you have consumed any type of media at all from or within the borders of the United States, you have deconstructing to do. You need to deconstruct from indoctrination. You need to deconstruct from this entertainment heavy society that we've created, where everything is down to ratings and clout and popularity contest, and we're getting away from the order of operations of things. To get things done is kind of boring. It's tedious. But somebody like me, I kind of like that stuff. I like doing the research and putting things in order and finding how to plausibly fix things. And I get, you gotta razzle dazzle it a little bit to get the people to want to come out and vote and want to keep up with meetings. But it's not all that. It's a lot of the rehearsals that essentially go into the big performance. You all would not really enjoy the Taylor Swift or Beyonce or Stevie Nicks rehearsals and songwriting sessions. You enjoy the concert. You enjoy after all the hard work, all the negotiations, all the mistakes and mishaps happen. Mm-hmm. Yeah, all of that pre-work, that's the politics. That's the politics. You all like the inaugurations. You like the pretty balls. You like, the Kennedy Awards and, the press junkets and things like that, and that's fine.
The overused
that's not how it goes.
Allegory of you like the sausage, but you don't want to know how the sausage is made. Mm-hmm. That overused. Yeah, it probably is overused. But
you like the chicken wings. You just don't like to visit the farm.
Right. It's
where
exactly
I enjoy
correct.
being on the farm. I will get up at 5 a.m. and milk the cow. Where you don't want any of that.
Yeah.
You just want the yogurt. That's fine. And for the person talking about the Rothschilds,
Randall.
The Rothschilds And you know what? Let's throw in the DuPonts here. And the Rockefellers, actually. Okay? RDR. These three families, one, cornered the market on, if you all look historically, every few generations pretending they're stupid, pretending to make bad business deals, to sway the public's view of them being diabolical and having no ethics or morals, and then swinging back to the intellectual side and working hard to demolish society as we know it for the sake of them not realizing their fear. And their greatest fear, which has been chronicled for all three of these families, is becoming poor. Now, their idea of poor is not our idea of poor. Their idea of poor is living like the rest of us, to the point that it has been chronicled that it has given them deep mental health issues. That if their bank accounts dip down to a certain percentage, they would rather take themselves out than live on a budget. But they will, every couple of generations, they'll pretend to be stupid. Because they know sustainability isn't doing what's right by the planet or doing what's right by people. It's convincing people that they need saving, that they're just not smart enough to be moral or ethical. But here's the thing. You can teach ethics and morality to a toddler. This toddler doesn't know capitalism. They don't know trigonometry. They don't know quantum physics. So if a 3 or 4-year-old can understand how to be nice and kind and respectful to somebody, why can't middle-aged billionaires?
It seems to me that 2025 comes down to a question. And it's a question that I've been asking all year. I didn't wait till the end of the year to ask it. We've been asking it all year. And that is, and again, it's just my opinion. It might not, certainly doesn't have to be anybody else's. And that is, are we still a democracy? Because it would seem to me that everything else branches off of that basic question. Are we still a democracy? I happen to think that the United States is no longer a democracy. I happen to think that we have become fully fascist at this point. The richest in the country are controlling and running everything, and to their own benefit and to the benefit of no one else, and to the point where we're now willing to start wars to even further ingratiate and engorge those profits and that money. It seems to me that anything that happens at the Supreme Court, anything that happens electorally, anything that happens as far as the next recession or depression, again, and I don't think a depression is completely out of sight. It might not be just a recession. I think it could very well be worse. And at 2020, and when we look at ICE and illegal, people literally being disappeared off the streets by men who don't wear badges, and women, by the way, who don't wear badges, or completely unidentifiable, covering their faces in white paneled vans, with some of the white paneled vans, by the way, with no license plates on them. Mm-hmm. We have to ask ourselves, are we still a democracy? And my personal answer, and everything that has come out of 2025 from that answer, is no, we are not. What say you?
I don't believe that we are either. And let me point out the utter psychological warfare of using white panel vans, especially for those of us, boomers, Gen X, elder millennials, that lived through the Atlanta child murders, lived through the coast-to-coast abductions utilizing white panel vans. One of my earliest memories of being in this country was all the adults around me warning me about that, and that is diabolical. We have gotten to a point where people who used to proclaim pride in their patriotism and being an American, because, the government wasn't going to tread on them. They believed in the Second Amendment because, checks and balances, and we're not going to have a dictatorship, and we don't have autocracy or aristocracy, and we battled fascism and we won. They're the ones slow walking us away from the rights that were promised in this country. And for many of us, the 3/4 of the rights that we're finally being able to sit semi-comfortably in. And that is the scary part. McCarthyism did a number on us. And we were kind of, sort of beginning to heal and recover from that by the time Joseph Robinette Biden was sworn in. The damage that has been done now, and our removal from the tenets of democracy, I fear in my lifetime I will not see democracy again in the United States. Will it come back? Yes. I just don't believe that I will be alive to see it.
I've mentioned on the program way too many times, and I think I may have even said it to you when we talked in the Villain's View. When we talked in the Sound of Coffee, that we will have elections in 2026. I think we might still have them in 2028. Whether they will be free, open, and fair, I can no longer guarantee. Would you say, am I crazy for that? Am I out of bounds on that one, or am I closer to home plate than I am inside the ballpark?
No, I think you're right on the right path, because I agree with you. I have sat down and literally taken 3 different sheets of paper and tried to come up with different scenarios that would give me confidence that we would have free and fair elections in 28. I don't see it happening at this point.
Even in 26, I'm not sure.
Now, as I always say, I don't know what's going to happen over the next couple months.
And it is an eternity in politics.
Drastically change in 30 to 45 days. But at this point, I don't know. Between the gerrymandering, the intimidation factor, the people just giving up, I don't know.
Voter purges.
Yeah, because
the Supreme Court gutting the Voting Rights Act and the Civil Rights Act.
What I call the last race to POTUS Mountain presidential election, there are people who still haven't legitimately been able to vote. And let me explain. Let's not forget that in Georgia, there were tens of thousands of registered voters who were notified that their ballots were lost, that they were going to be sent new ballots. They still haven't received those ballots. There were also thousands of ballots that were burned in ballot boxes. Those people were never able to. So I'm like, these things are happening. That was not a free and fair election. The fact that people lost polling sites this last time, that people couldn't be offered a bottle of water, that some people had to get out of extremely long lines because of fear of losing their jobs, and they had to get to work. That's not a free and fair election. There were people who were turned away when they should not have been. Our last election was not free and fair. So I can't say that it's miraculously going to get more free or more fair the next time around. No, we've had billionaires interfere, trying to buy people off, buy votes out in the open, not even behind closed doors.
Musk offering people $1 million. And only paying a handful of them, by the way. He didn't even pay all the ones he offered the money to.
Yeah, so I'd have to agree with you. I do not see free and fair elections in the near future. And if we keep allowing, rhetoric like what's going on, we're never going to see a free and fair election. And when I say allowing, I mean we're all complicit in allowing a small subset of society to be loud and be in control of us, the majority.
267-227-9189, 267-227-9189, 267-227-9189 phone line is open. What are the big things that stand out to you in 2025? Is it ICE? Is it the Supreme Court? Is it fascism? Is it all of the above? Is it none of the above? Are there big things that kind of, maybe because it's only December 21st, and we're still actually in 2025, maybe it's hard to look back and kind of pluck a couple things out, or is there anything in that group of things that were, or maybe something that I didn't think of?
What stands out to me is the silence from political families with incredible reputations and powerful lineages. The Romneys, the Cheneys, the Kennedys, the Bushes, their silence, because their reputations, their voices, their presence carries weight. At previous times in history when things got rocky, they would step forward because they knew that their presence, their voices could move mountains. They could get things done that the greatest lobbyists and current politicians couldn't. I am shocked that the Kennedys, the umbrella that has expanded so much of the Kennedys, hasn't spoken out, especially since Trump is playing with their family name and lineage. The Romneys, I am shocked that they are sitting so quietly. The Cheneys, especially when their patriarch has been disrespected, I'm utterly shocked. And the Bushes, I didn't think that they would ever shut up. That is what's most shocking to me, that they are so silent right now.
Well, they're still making money, aren't they? I've been disappointed in I am related to this family. It is distant, and I don't make any bones about that. I'm not trying to pretend to be someone that I am not. I'm related to this family, to this branch of the family, but as most Irish Catholic family trees are, it is very, very large with very many branches on it. They are on one side of the tree. I am on a distant other side of the tree. But we do all eventually come back to the same root. And only it took RFK Jr. and his exploits, and now the renaming of the Kennedy Center, to get some of the family riled up and angry. And I have to say, I've been disappointed in that as well. The Bushes are still making oil. They're still making money in oil. They're still making money. And it just seems to me that sometimes that's really all it comes down to, is as long as the paycheck is, well, not a paycheck the way you and I know a paycheck, but I mean, certainly not in the same way. But as long as the money keeps rolling in, to hell with everything else that's happening. It's okay as long as the money keeps rolling in. Is that oversimplistic way of looking at it? It's kind of the only thing.
I don't think it's oversimplistic.
It's kind of the only thing that explains the silence.
And here's the thing, and I think my biggest disappointment with the Kennedy family is more so the Shriver subset of the Kennedy family, and let me explain what I mean. That subset of the Kennedy family is deeply cemented in journalism. To this day, heavily connected through media outlets. Even if didn't want to come to the forefront. And Maria, here's looking at you, darling. Y'all put more energy and effort into covering up Arnold's love child with the maid that we still ain't forgot about than you have in pointing out that Trump's greatest media allies are the immigrants that he claims to be railing against. If you would put out the truth on him and push your comrades, your colleagues, your equals, the people who want a seat at the table with you, to treat Trump as if he was a black woman running for Senate, we wouldn't be where we are now.
Bettina mentions in the chat, Trump cried stolen elections so much, no one investigated the actual stolen election. Donna mentions, I'm wondering if these families do have a plan, but they are keeping it under wraps. And then grammar. And then when we least expect it, heads will roll, question mark. One can only hope.
This is too long to say that they have a plan. This is going on too long. These are not stupid families. These are not. If we were talking about, I'm gonna be real with y'all. If we were talking about like a branch of my family waiting this long, and it's not the perfect time, yeah, I could believe that. But these are families that have been strategic for a very long time. These are families that have crisscrossed different industries to find the industry that worked best for them. And while they were crisscrossing industries, they weren't bad at any of them. They just found the ones that they were the best at and came most naturally to them, and they could have generational everything, visibility, wealth, all sorts of things and opportunities. This is no longer they've got a master plan in the back pocket. If it was 2016, I could ride with that theory. We're at 2025. We have illegally, against the Constitution, by mind you, the removal of large chunks of the Bush legacy, the Kennedy legacy, the Romney legacies.
Well, remember, it was Reagan.
I don't know about you, but if I have family members who have literally sacrificed their lives for the sake of this country,
their pictures are
absolutely not. We're not going to just eliminate their lineage.
Yeah, their pictures are behind me. Yeah.
Yeah, because I had to fight the National Chemistry Society. Because when my maternal grandfather passed away, he was the sitting president of the National Chemistry Society of the United States, and they tried to remove him from the rolls. If I'm not going to let that happen, I don't think any lineage-based political family should let Trump do what he's doing. We're talking about somebody who's never done a lick of schoolwork or homework for himself, that stole a uniform in order to take his class pictures in, that the Wharton School of Business penned an open letter to basically say, hey, stop telling people you went here. The only reason Trump ended up in private school is because he was a bad bully and failed at being a bully and kept getting beat up in school by girls. Why are people cowering to him? He's not a good bully. He's not a good businessman. He's not even a good philanderer. Philanderer. Why are we acting afraid and intimidated by the worst that the universe has to offer? He should have been a snail that was salted in the middle of the Sahara 20 years ago.
Oh, I would say more than that. For those of us who lived in North Jersey and New York at the time, I'd say 30 or 40. But
I was trying to be nice because I did like Ivana. Ivana. And if Ivana would not have been pushed out of married Trump and Sons, because that's the original name of the Trump organization, and she would have been able to run that company with her children properly, we wouldn't have had fraud. We would have seen a more ethical version of Leona Helmsley in Ivana and that Trump company. And if Trump wouldn't have been a participation trophy child, he would have made a great stay-at-home puppy babysitter for Ivana.
Certainly not stay-at-home dad.
No, like he could have stayed home and walked Scooby twice a day. I don't know what he could possibly. You know what? I do know what he could be good at. And as much as I do not like Trump, I must say he does have a talent for branding.
Yeah. Well,
If he would have
NBC
gone
taught him
into
well.
marketing and handled the marketing department of the company, branding is his thing.
NBC taught him well.
Even before NBC, he did a fairly good job of branding, and then he took what he learned from NBC and he truly ran with it. But if he would have honed it there, it's like you got to learn what you are good at. Because I don't think anybody knows this, but you had said that yesterday that you have been in radio since high school.
Mm-hmm.
Fun fact, so have I. And I didn't realize that, it was something that
Yeah, but
had
it was
potential.
when I was in high school. It was still vacuum tubes.
Well, I'm not that far behind you. Jeff. But when I started off, fresh 15 years old. Yeah, because it was 2 weeks after my birthday that I got a shot on the radio station. And it started off rocky, but then I realized, you know what? I'm better at this than what my mother wanted to push me into. And it's like, okay, I realized this is my lane. I can take my other interest, the IT, the history, the teaching, my thirst for, politics, and use it this way. But Trump wants friends, but because Trump was raised on TV, he's one of the first screen kids. Y'all need to stop acting like screen time is just with iPads and tablets. He wants to be the main character. He wants to be the head dude in charge. But he's not that guy. He doesn't have that personality. He is the friend that you get to stand in line in the cafeteria to get the good French fries for you, okay? He's that friend that you allow to come along because his mom is willing to drive you and pick you up from everywhere. But he smells a little funny, okay? And his hygiene is a little questionable. And his jokes are weird. You're not quite sure if he's going to grow up to have bodies in the basement. But just in case you stay on his good side. That is Trump. That is Trump. So he doesn't believe that he has to work on himself because in his mind, he's Fredo. Now, if somebody could let him see the rest of the Godfather trilogy, it would be wonderful.
It's a miracle the man is still alive. I know he's not healthy, but I'm just surprised. I'm surprised his health is so bad that
I really thought COVID was going to take him out.
Yeah, I did too, actually.
Especially when he
I got it. I thought it would take me out.
Fresh out the hospital, and I'm like, dude, the medicine hasn't even really settled in your body good, and you're doing this. Yeah. I just never in my life have I wanted a scene from Resident Evil to become real life than when he stood on that balcony.
7:03 Eastern Time, into our second hour here. We'll carry the conversation along as it continues to go. You know that several of the programs that we've done in recent history have only been about an hour, even though we have a 3-hour time slot. We've only done about an hour. We'll carry the conversation maybe to 7:30. We'll see how it goes. Phone line is open, 267-227-9189, 267-227-9189, 267-227-9189. This is the Kennedy Effect, live with you for December 21st, 2025, last live program of 2025, and let us at GCPR, us at Hot 101, and all of us here from the Kennedy Effect wish you the most wonderful of holiday seasons, a Merry Christmas, a Happy Kwanzaa, a Happy Hanukkah, however you celebrate, if you celebrate at all. I wish for you a very safe, happy, wonderful holiday season in whatever way you choose to celebrate it or not celebrate it. That's entirely up to you, isn't it? Friends, family, or home watching movies and eating popcorn, whatever it might be, I wish you the best of the holiday season. All of us here at hot101.net, all of us at gcpr.live, and everyone here at the Kennedy Effect wishing you the absolute 100% best of this holiday season. We are live right now, Our Revolution, Pennsylvania. Ghost Claw Productions, The Kennedy Effect on Facebook, plus 100 other places on Facebook. YouTube, GCPR.live on YouTube, The Kennedy Effect on YouTube. You can find us there. Hot101.net, Apple App Store, Google Play Store, TuneIn Radio app, tell Alexa to play Hot101.net, and GCPR.live, our main website, and our Android app as well, GCPR.live. Now, for those of you on Hot101.net, when we finish here, the music will immediately return to you at hot101.net. For those of you at GCPR, when we finish here, you're going to have a bit of a break, because I don't think we're going to make it straight to 9 o'clock, but we're going to have a bit of a break, get some milk, cookies, popcorn, take the dog for a walk, whatever it is you need to do. Villain's View tonight. Pre-show starts, 8:30, 8:45-ish. Show goes live and full throttle from 9 p.m. here on GCPR. Conversations with T. Nathan from 11, and Thomas kicks off your broadcast work week tomorrow morning from 8 a.m. with the sound of coffee. So again, music returns to you here at hot101.net as soon as we're done. Villain's View at GCPR. We will see you again on January 7th, I want to say, as I scramble quickly to check no, we will see you again on the 11th. Sorry, the 11th is when we will see you again. January 11th. With the way the holidays fall and so on, those Sundays, the 28th of December is right in between, and January 4th will be the Sunday of New Year's weekend. So that'll be the end of that. We plan to see you again on January 11th, 2026. Taz, I think this is a good time to change gears just a tiny bit as we are out of the first hour into the second. As we look ahead into 2026, what are you looking for? What are you keeping an eye on? What gives you hope? What maybe doesn't give you hope? As we turn the page into yet another new year, what are you looking for?
I'm actually looking forward to see how this new revelation of the people is going to play out. And this is what I mean. I have noticed over the past 45 to 50 days that the citizens and residents of the United States are realizing the power that they actually hold. They're rediscovering the Constitution and truly reading it for themselves and understanding new legislation, old legislation, and I am excited to see where this revelation is going to take us, what the people plan to do with this knowledge.
Do young people give you any hope?
Yes, actually, yes. Okay. I watched it, so no one else had to suffer through it. Turning Point USA had their conference over the weekend, and a bunch of people decided to take, their tweens and teens there. But the people with the talking points left their teens and tweens at home. And while watching, I love to fact check in real time, and I was looking at a lot of numbers. Seats are flipping, elections are, all of these off-year, off-kilter elections are changing. And it's not just because of liberal voters or Democratic voters. It's not. You've got people crisscrossing over, and younger Republicans, younger offspring of conservatives are waking up. They're looking at things and researching and no longer just gobbling up the talking points. And because their parents and grandparents and the adults around them are so haphazardly proclaiming that this agenda's being forced out to them and that agenda, they're bringing things to these young adults and these children's mindsets into their purview that they never thought about or heard about before. And it's causing them to look them up. Long gone are the days that a child has to wait for somebody to take them to the library or help them with the Dewey Decimal System, or show them, where to get the latest edition of an encyclopedia. It's at their hands and at their fingertips, and now they're able to fact check their parents. They're able to fact check their trusted adults, so to speak. And they're not liking what they're finding out. And they're realizing where the power lies and what the truth is. And the infighting that's going on right now, because everybody wants to be the new talking head of the GOP, it's turning off a lot of people. People are like, wait a minute.
Well, isn't that a basic tenet of one-party rule? Is that the only way to get ahead is that they finally have to eat their own?
Well,
And they control, and whether we like it or not, they control all three branches of government. And you can
it's
talk
not just
about...
that.
So
The GOP has always been a collection of factions that don't like each other and tend to eat each other's faces off. From its inception, all the way through to today, the GOP is consistently a bunch of different cliques of people who don't like each other. But they like each other a little bit more than they don't like the rest of us. But they are always trying to infight and eat each other and kill each other off.
So the Christian nationalists like the billionaires more than they like LGBTQ people. The billionaires like the Christian nationalists more than they like unionists, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, it's like this. You got to remember, back in the day, we had the stalwarts. The stalwarts didn't really like the conservatives, but we also had liberals in the GOP. And the stalwarts were more of the liberals, but not quite liberal. They're like, you can't be as liberal as me because I need to shine right now and I need to be better than the conservatives. And they're like, whoa, hold up, Then we got the Reagan Coalition. The Reagan Coalition was like, I don't care who you are, just come on over here and vote for us. And they're like, well, can we be racist? Yeah, you can be racist, but not towards these people over here. But wait a minute, they don't look like us, but technically they practice like us and they got a little bit of money. And then the Birchers came along and were like, you know what, Reagan Coalition, you got to go. But we don't like the conservatives. We don't like the liberals. We don't like there's still some stalwarts going on. Yeah, we don't like them either. And then let's not forget the Tea Party. The Tea Party was like, hold up, we shouldn't be taxing nobody like this. We all should have money left over. And they were like, whoa, you got too much dip on your chip. We don't like you either. We're like, we don't like you either because you don't quite look like us. Your family isn't a part of any of the legacy organizations because I think you came over here a little too late. You weren't here in the 1700s. I checked your records. You got here in like the 1940s. You can't be here. And then they were like, Tea Party, we don't like you either. And here we are with MAGA. Now, are there some factions that I've missed along the way? Yes, but none of them like each other. They just hate the rest of us more. And it's not so much even about money or anything. It's about who can out racist and out hate the other one.
My cousin in the chat says the day after Trump leaves office, the ballroom, his name on the Kennedy Center, his so-called President's Wall of Fame, and all the tacky gold in the White House, all of it goes away. The best thing would be for him to be around to watch that happen. I talked during the year about the difference between a movement and a cult. Civil rights movement was a movement. Jim Jones was a cult leader. When he died, the cult went along with him. Is Trumpism a cult or a movement?
It's a cult. It cannot be sustained without him.
There is no next Trump. I know the media likes to talk about who's going to be next and who's going to inherit all of this, and I don't think anybody inherits all of it because there's no
on Truth Social.
Because they're not, including his own kids, by the way. There is no
over on Truth Social. His kids don't care, and he recently came out and unprovoked said that he knows that they're not going to mourn him. But over on Truth Social,
not just mourn him, but they're not going to. None of them is going to be the one to step up and take control of this band of whatever you want to call them.
Every couple of months, over on Truth Social, and sometimes over on Twitter, aka X, the staunch Trump sycophants are like, "Yeah, Barron is going to take the." Barron does not want to be in politics. None of them want to be in politics. None of them wanted to be in politics because they understand the spotlight that's put on you. And this is a family that has been taught to be shady, that's been taught to be deceitful. You think of it like this, okay? An astute burglar does not want a camera crew following them around, putting a spotlight on them doing their job. that's where Trump went wrong. He's a grifter that decided to make his grifting a reality show, and now he's shocked that things are going the way that it's going. But Trumpism, MAGA, it is a cult. And when he goes away, my thing is, just like with Jim Jones, there are going to be people who are going to want to go with him. And there are people who are going to force their family members to go with them when they go with him. Because one part of the whole Jim Jones cult thing that we don't talk about are the people who died that didn't drink the juice. There were people who died by bullet. Because there were folks that were such staunch believers that are like, we all have to go together. There were people who were forced to drink the juice. And that's going to happen, unfortunately, with MAGA.
267-227-9189, 267-227-9189. Phone line is open, 267-227-9189. Bettina mentions in the chat, I'm hopeful that people do not get tired of protesting. I'm with you. There is another No Kings being planned. It seems to grow every time we do a No Kings, so I'm looking forward to the next one of that. Randall says, Taz, one of my daughters is an elementary school librarian in a public school district here meaning I think close to where he lives. She has classes every day, classes on how to research on the internet via computer, as well as checking out traditional books. So there is still there's some reasons to be hopeful, I would think, and that's probably Randall
There
right.
definitely is.
That's probably Randall right there. Yes, it is.
I have students that I tutor. I have students that I traditionally teach, and right now, the amount of older
Hang in there, Randall. One sec. Hang in there.
children in the family, in the household, that are now asking the parents, like, hey, can you ask her if I can join in this? Can she teach me how to do this? And even the parents and some grandparents that are asking how to research, how to fact check, how to, get new information, asking, if the old ways still work. Yes.
Right.
Yes. Don't let go of the old ways. Don't, because as tech savvy as I am, and I do love technology, I do. I am still very analog with a lot of things, because, and I'm not a conspiracy theorist, and I don't want y'all to take it this way, but we have to be realistic. With a lot of the monitoring that's going on, a lot of people getting caught up or turned in by family members for certain stuff, you got to go back to notebooks and pens. Like tonight on The Villain's View, we have a great interview coming up with some activists for Carmelo Anthony, the gentleman, the young man being charged as an adult for the untimely death of another teenager. When I do interviews, etc., I still old school in a notebook. Because in the event, like when we did Sound of Coffee together, and technical difficulties arise,
abounded.
Just in case.
Yeah, they abounded. By the way, they didn't just come up. They were a constant irritant. Anyway, Randall is on the line. Randall, go ahead, sir.
Well, I guess first thing I want to talk about is what Taz and you were talking about. My oldest daughter. She is a elementary school librarian and has been in 3 public school districts here in Delco, Delaware County, Pennsylvania. And her first school district as an elementary school librarian was Upper Darby Public School District, which is right next to Philadelphia, on the eastern side of my county. And it's predominantly, they speak 80 languages in that district, from India to Bangladesh to you name it. And then she went on to Westchester School District as a elementary ed librarian, which is up in Chester County. Westchester, Pennsylvania is the county seat of Chester County here in Pennsylvania. and now she's at Rose Tree Media, which we deliberately moved our 3 girls there in '96 to get out of the school district I grew up in, south of it, because it's so much better as a public school system. Because unlike Pendelka school system, where we live again now, which is predominantly tradespeople, lower and middle class workers. Rose Tree Media is predominantly, obviously, is college graduates, both husband and wives.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's teaching there now, but she's doing something she's done for 8 years in all 3 school districts as an elementary school librarian. She teaches from kindergarten, wherever the elementary in that district is, whether it's 5 that cuts off or 6. She teaches classes, brings a kindergarten class in for a session, brings in first grade in for another session that day. She's teaching them how to use computer to research, do real research, and as well as being a traditional librarian, reviewing books and with whatever budget is that year from the school district, purchasing books for the traditional school library.
Right.
So I think I see major hope in the coming generations to be much more informed than their parents were, because of public education like that. What are your thoughts, Taz?
It is my hope that future generations are more willing to be educated and expand their horizons, but it starts with us. It starts with us. We have to become the trusted adults, the parents, the grandparents, the guardians that they see thirsting for knowledge and going after it. We have to be the example of being willing to correct ourselves, learn from them, and to teach. My kids joke with me and tell their friends all the time, like, everybody else thinks that they are going to present something new to their parents, and they're like, yeah, our mom is always telling us something new. But we have to be that force. And as a society, we need to push for each generation after us to be better, but we also have to get out of the mindset of wait till the next generation. Because if we keep waiting, we're not going to leave anything from them. But as long as we have people like your daughter and the parents of those that she's able to teach how to research, we're going to become a better society. And I say that because there are a lot of parents that would give someone like your daughter pushback because they don't really want their children educated. They're afraid of their children becoming better than them.
Well, that's not true, Pat. That's not happening down here. My county, Delaware County, is along the Delaware River and includes what is considered the main line of Philadelphia. It goes from originally industrial along the river to commuters, executive commuters, lawyers, doctors, etc. on the main line. And then on the eastern boundary is Philadelphia County. And on the southern boundary is Delaware, Wilmington, city of Wilmington. My county originally was 3-1 registered Republicans to Democrats when I got involved as a local Democratic committee person in 1976. And over the decades, it shifted 2-1, and then finally majority of Democrats, and we went blue. But Kent, for 150 years, was solid Republican, going back to the Civil War. And any case, what I'm trying to say is, what does Grandpa give his grandchildren every year? I give a couple of books. I go and browse books and pick out books that I think are age appropriate for them, their sexes, their age, and I give books every year.
Good old-fashioned books.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Reading.
I said more people like you and your daughter. I didn't say that you all weren't doing a good job. I think that's where the disconnect is.
No. I'm sorry if you thought I implied that you said implied that about me. No. The difference. Here we go, Taz. Here's the difference. I'm the first male to graduate from college, whereas both my grandmothers graduated as teachers. My mother graduated as a teacher, and my grandmothers graduated as teachers. The men were farmers on homesteads out in Missouri and in Kansas. And my wife, same thing. She comes from multi-matriarchal women and males going back to Massachusetts. So it's like my daughters, yeah. My middle daughter to a high school public school teacher here in Delaware County on the edge of Philadelphia that is like 85%, no, maybe 90% people of color. He teaches history and social district public school.
You're in and out a little bit.
Oh, I'm sorry. How's that?
Yep, you got it.
Okay, I'm sorry. I apologize. Yeah. To be effective, education to be effective, and for optimism of future generations to happen, it takes at least one person in a household to be college educated. I don't care if it's just a BA or a BS. It just takes one person of the family, preferably both. That's my hope, that it's going to continue with my grandkids. I give them 2 books each every Christmas, and I put an equal amount of money in all 3 of their Pennsylvania savings college accounts, because that's what my mother did for my 3 daughters.
But I have a question. Because a lot of times we put aside savings, we give children tools, but we don't teach them how to utilize the tools. Growing up, I had a maternal grandfather that would send me newspaper clippings, would take me to the library, and then discuss the things with me to work on critical thinking skills. Is that something that you're doing? And I have a twofold question. You're saying that it's important to have a college education. Is it important to be educated overall in a field that someone is passionate about, or just to have a degree?
To answer the last statement and question, Pat, I'm a firm believer in a liberal arts education. And what that meant was, I went to college, and all of my classes my freshman year were required. English, math, history. And probably 4/5 were required in my my sophomore year, to make me a rounded person on knowledge. Yeah, well, the things I absolutely did not like zoology, dissecting cats, no. But that was required. and that's, I don't care if it's colleges or universities. I don't care if it's private or state or Ivy League. That, I think that's that in my opinion, that's become the problem of higher education. It does not create a well-rounded citizen anymore by having required courses.
Okay, I'm going to give you a little bit of pushback there. And I'm going to do this from a perspective of a former student and a current educator, and as a parent. A lot of times we're putting too much onus on educators. For a well-rounded, well-educated person, that's a collaborative effort. It takes parents educating, it takes the educators educating, and we cannot forget the trade schools and the trades that we need to keep this conglomerate of society moving. If everybody is just getting a liberal arts education, where's the diversity in our society that is a requirement for forward motion and for sustainability?
I don't, well, I'm going to have to disagree on that for a number of reasons. One, our county founded, well, in the 50s.
Which part are you disagreeing with me on?
Trade school education in public and high school public education. You go half a day, your school district. You want to go to a VOTEC school? You go half a day to the VOTEC school and half a day in the afternoon for academics at your high school, or vice versa. You do academics in the morning, and you do your trade in the afternoon. That's anything from being trained as a nurse's aide to cutter to carpenter,
right,
electrician, machinist, whatever. Yes, I was fortunate enough to go to one of 7 working colleges in this country. And that means it's not just every student has to take, 4 course load per semester. They've got to work X amount of hours in heating, plumbing, carpenter crew, working on the farm, growing year-round vegetables in the hothouses. I was on heating and plumbing for 4 years, and when I went to Warren Wilson College, I had to work 15 hours a week. So I, like in the morning, like from 8 o'clock, 4 classes in the afternoon, work a 3-hour work block, and then 2 bad work.
Is this part of what you're saying made you well-rounded? Because
absolutely
perfect.
Okay.
Right. All right. Thank you, Randall. We got another guest in. I got to get to, and we got about a half hour left.
Real quick, Jeff.
Very quick.
I got 2 work hour credits by being on a volunteer fire service, and
nice.
That introduced me to fire protection. To most of my career was fire prevention and fire marshal.
There you go.
Different institutions, all nonprofit.
Right.
And yes, that's what led me to it.
Right. Okay.
Okay, I'll let you know. Taz, God bless you, dear, for coming on the Kennedy Effect finally.
Thank you, Randall.
My pleasure,
Randall, our absolute best to you and the entire family for the holidays. I mean, the absolute best to you.
You got it, bro. Taz.
Yes, sir.
Tell Thomas, man, he needs to, for the Villains View, he needs to open it up for call-ins.
We will
hold your breath.
Randall. We will work on that because I know you just love to talk to me, Randall. We'll work on it.
Everybody there and on the chat, have a great Merry Christmas or Happy Holiday or an incredible New Year in 2026.
Thank you so much. Thank you,
Bye.
thank you, my friend. Solid Blue Sister has entered the room. Welcome so much, and welcome, welcome, welcome.
Hello, I apologize.
Don't worry about it. Any time that you give us is a
It's
blessing.
only after 4:30 here, so
Any time that you're willing to share with us is a blessing. We've been talking mostly about the 2025 year that was, so to speak, and
I was listening to it in the car. So
nice, thank you. So let me ask you, before I ask you about 2026, let me ask you, when you think of 2025, what do you think of?
I look at it as being a very short year, but at the same time,
It did go by very quickly, yes.
Long year,
Hope the other three go by as quickly.
but still a very long year, because it seems like Trump has been occupying the White House for decades, as opposed to just 11 months or whatever. I mean, but I'm looking forward to a good 2026. So, but I was telling my husband yesterday, I said, this year went by really fast, but damn, it went by slow.
Yeah, y'all keep saying it went by fast. This has been the longest century of my life. 2025 has been the longest century in my little 48 years. This has drug on. Forever.
And there's 3 years left.
But you know what? I can honestly say that ever since 2016, I used to get the printed. I used to get a newspaper delivered religiously. I had a newspaper delivered religiously for about 30 years. When Trump became president in 2017, I canceled because I did not want to see his face on front, whatever. And ever since
Every day.
Yes, and ever since 2025, I can honestly say that I have really restricted my news watch, because I just can't stand looking at him. I literally cannot stand looking at his face. I absolutely, I hear him and I turn him off. And it's like, I just don't want to, I just can't.
So what gives you, when we passed this 7 o'clock hour, we tried to change focus a little bit to looking ahead into 2026. So what are you hopeful for 2026, or what gives you hope going into the new year? What are you looking for the new year? What do you think might be happening in the new year?
I'm hoping that since we are a two-party country, and we're never probably going to get out of that, I'm hoping that the Democrats get their act together. I'm looking forward to supporting Jasmine Crockett and her campaign. I have already sent money to contribute to that. I'm looking forward in supporting my governor here in California, since he's the only one so far. Some people like Newsom, some people don't.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, he's the only person running. So I'm just hoping that it's the lesser of two evils going into the 28 midterms or the election. That the Democrats just get themselves together, and maybe MAGA, maybe they'll start to get a brain cell. Maybe just maybe. But like George always says, it has to get to critical mass. And I was really upset that the government shutdown that stopped. I wanted it to keep going on and on and on and on and on, because I wanted people to hurt. I wanted MAGA to hurt. I wanted them to hurt so much, where, like George said, it had to get to critical mass, and it never got there.
Do the special elections and elections that took place through 2025 give you hope for the Democrats in 2026?
It gives me hope, but then, Jeff, they always go and do something stupid. They always go and do or say something stupid. It's like they don't have any balls. It's like it's like they're so busy trying to, like Michelle Obama, which she should not have said, but she said it, you know, and I'm you know, she said it. We'll while we go high, while they go low, we go high. We don't need to go high. We need to go low, 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 low.
Well, let's not forget that she amended that recently.
Well, true.
Yeah, that's true.
True. You know, and on another
The damage
thing,
is done.
if Trump is allowed, which I have a feeling he is, to run for a third term, I'm hoping that Obama runs. As much as I know Michelle doesn't want him to run, I know he probably doesn't want to run, but I want him to run and win. So that's something that, another thing that can piss him off, whatever, you know, but, you know, I'm hoping, you know, yes, the Democrats, we take 2 steps forward, but then we say something stupid and then we're way, way back here.
See, my thing is, every time we talk about potential for a third term, we automatically go to the Democratic opponent. I want Bush to primary him.
Okay.
I want Bush to primary him.
Which
I don't
Bush?
Want him. I don't care.
Well, I don't
At
think
this
we- I don't
point,
think
at
we-
this
we
point,
want
I would go
that.
to the cemetery and make campaign videos from the cemetery, from a Bush from 1862, and I think that they could primary them. But here's the thing: we have to remember that the GOP never wanted Trump. When the voting is private, they shut him down. Every time they decide to retire, they come out with tell-alls because they consistently keep evidence on him. Voicemails, voice notes, text messages, emails, etc. They don't want him around.
But they
We don't have
caved.
to.
But they caved.
They cave due to fear. And the fear is because, like I said earlier, the rest of us aren't saying anything.
Is it fear?
We're letting us a small portion run wild and act as if this is the okay corral. But here's the thing: we don't have to worry about a Democratic opponent. We don't have to worry about an Obama. And actually, I don't want Obama to run against him. Let's say, let's play devil's advocate. Let's say Trump gets the ticket. He survives the outside of his health. Okay, he becomes a bionic man, and he makes it to 2028, and he's gonna run again. I don't want Obama to run against him. I don't. I want somebody who on paper is just as dastardly as him. Clinton, this is your time to shine. Let Clinton run against him, because let the dirt sling.
Well, you talking
Because
about
if people-
you talking about HRC?
No, Bill.
Oh, he's too
Bill,
old.
because Bill would be able to do it. And here's the
I
thing:
don't think his health is to the. I mean, I get
both
what you're saying, but
of them are knocking
Yeah,
on the
but
devil's
Bill-
door to get a room in hell. I believe that, but here's the thing: because I want to challenge the morality of MAGA. If they're saying that what Trump says is just locker room talk, but they have a problem with how Clinton talks, prove it. Prove it, because Clinton is willing to be just as dirty as Trump. And if you want the lesser of two evils, let's give him the lesser of two evils, because we can put 2 disgusting old white men up against one another and let the cards fall where they may. Give Trump a taste of his own medicine. Don't give Trump what he's always wanted, because take the race off the table. Don't allow him to play the race card and be racist in an election and pull in more racist individuals to vote for him. Two
all right, that makes
dirty,
sense.
low-down white men going toe to toe.
Well, let me ask you, when you said about somebody going to primary him, I was really surprised, and dumb me, I probably should have known better, but I was really surprised that Chris Christie, that more people did not support him. He was the only one that had some semblance of sense standing on that stage.
But I think you forgot how many people Chris pissed off.
Yeah, I know.
While
I know.
governor,
I know.
he did some low
I know.
down stuff. When he shut
Yeah.
down that beach and sat there sipping a mojito, it was over for him. And because Chris kept flip-flopping, I can't stand Trump, I'm a ride with Trump. I can't stand Trump, I'm a ride with Trump.
Yeah, but at the same time, excuse me, Jeff, I have to say this, at the same time, he was not grabbing people by the pussy.
Yeah, I agree with you. I completely agree with you. And the thing of it is, Chris was teetering, because Chris was also trying to avoid prosecution. And I'm like, you got to play Trump's game. You got to be boisterous. You got to be willing to roll around in the slop with him, because being demure is out the window. Okay, we're not playing by old school. Actually, we are playing by old school games, really old school games. The fight on the congressional floor type of old school games. The you won't pass my bill, I'll hit you with my desk games. We're going all the way back to the 1700s and the 1800s when it comes to politics, where people didn't have a problem cussing each other out and challenging each other to a duel over legislation for the people, or because somebody said that they didn't like their suit and they're like, you're not going to talk to me like that. That's what Chris Christie should have done. Chris Christie had the look that Trump wanted, of that old school mafia man. And Chris Christie, if he would have leaned into that and played into that, he could have pulled in a lot of the MAGA base, because they're buying into that Spencer Tracy type of thing, that Dick Tracy mode of, oh, we're going back to, the Al Capone days of the politics and all of that, because that's what MAGA wants. MAGA wants the telenovela. MAGA wants that cartoon character type of politician for them to put all of their angst into, because in their mind they can spew all this hatred, because at the end of the day somebody's yelling cut and it's end of wrapping, end of recording until tomorrow and we get the new scene. Chris Christie should have played into that, but he didn't want to, because at the end of the day he still wanted to make money off of his allegiance and alliance with the MAGA faction.
And that's where they go wrong, and they allow this man to run crazy. So if either of you, I'm sorry, Jeff, I know I'm not the host, but if either of you
I think I do I'm the weirdest host, because I think I do better when people ask me questions, but usually the host doesn't get asked questions, so I'll take him.
Well, if you all had your choice, what Democrat would you want to see running, and what Republican for 28?
I don't care what Republican runs in 28. There's not a single one of them left worth voting for. I don't. If you're a member of the economic 99%, there's literally zero justification for any Republican, whether it's Marco Rubio, Ted Cruz, Josh Hawley, all whom of which desperately want to be president. In fact, Ted Cruz thinks it's his divine right. That we've denied him that so far. And Taz has talked a lot about Mitt Romney tonight. I think Romney was the same way. He desperately wanted to be president and thought it was his divine right to be so. But he was the president we deserved. We just didn't know it. There's not a single one of them worth voting for. There's no one on the Republican side that could even be. Reagan wouldn't be allowed in this Republican Party currently. Romney's not allowed in it. And Romney was just as fascist as any of the rest of them as far as handing over government to the billionaire class. He's as bad as any of the rest of them. He's as white Christian nationalist as any of the rest of them. And even he's considered too liberal for this so-called political party. See, you mentioned before that this is a two-party system. It is a two-party system. The problem is there's only one party that functions currently. The other one doesn't even operate. It's a cult of one man. What he wants is what happens. Period. Or he threatens death on those who don't agree. As far as what Democrat, we're going to have plenty to choose from. I suspect there will be upwards of 24 people who put themselves forward. Now, obviously, when 24 or so-called people 24-ish people put themselves forward, there's only a handful of serious candidates within that group. But you're going to have, just from the governors alone, you'll have Governor Newsom, Governor Pritzker of Illinois, Governor Beshear of Kentucky, Governor Whitmer of Michigan, and quite potentially Wes Moore of Maryland. So that's 5 just governors.
Do you think Kamala Harris will run again?
I fear she might, but boy, I wouldn't.
She might, but she needs to get it together.
Yeah, I wouldn't if I was her.
Perfect Patty, and she needs to get over feeling like she's beholden to Joe Biden, who's a prick. But yeah. I'm going to go out on a limb here. I don't have a Democrat or Republican. I don't want to see either one of them. I think right now we need to, because I know we say that we're a two-party system. No, we're a two-party majorative on the federal level system. In every other level of politics, we have a majority of parties. The Temperance Party still exists and is in power in many places, coast to coast. This is the time for political parties to, from the grassroots level up, introduce us to your platforms, get people in positions from school boards all the way up to the governor's office, even if it's just as staffers. When it comes time around, I want to see a cornucopia. I want to see some people who are really in it for change. I want to see more parties on the ballot so that we can have a supporting cast, and not just the supporting cast on Capitol Hill, supporting cast on the gubernatorial level, supporting cast in the state congresses, and going all the way down. We need to broaden the horizons. We have to stop stepping out every 4 years like cicadas for the race to POTUS Mountain with these political parties that no one is familiar with. And although, according to the Constitution, if you meet certain requirements, yes, you can throw your hat in the ring, but, and not to sound classist, not to sound elitist, but to fervently sound realist. There's no way you are going from a cashier at the local Kroger to running for president and you have no other political experience. Absolutely not. Stop getting us people for these parties that the only thing they've done is fundraise for the local YMCA. Get some lobbying experience. Learn how to put together a bill. Start off as an alderman. Start off on the school board. Just like with any other job, campaigning is the interview process. When we vote, that is us going through the last round of your interview process. You got to come with a resume, and that resume isn't you just being former military. It's not your parents being former military. I do not care if you're married or not. I do not care if you have children. I'm going to go out on a limb and say I prefer if you don't have children, because I need you to focus on the task at hand. And when it comes to politics on the federal level, I need you to have as few distractions as possible, because we need to be able to call upon you at any moment, 24 hours a day. Okay? If somebody is deciding to nuke us, I don't need you having to take a minute because little Billy Bob has 102 fever that he got from kindergarten that day. Okay? Okay. Being a parent does not mean that you are going to be a great POTUS. All right? You having horses, having a F-250, or having a bunch of firearms does not make you a great politician. And no disrespect to anybody who has served or is currently serving. Being a part of the military does not mean that you are necessarily a great leader.
Well, I guess I'm not running then.
And for those of y'all,
I was all excited. I was going to have a go.
Because y'all DM me every day going, why don't you? I can't. I don't qualify. Just like Ted Cruz. I don't qualify.
I would not want to run. I mean, it's just, you know, I have just enough just doing my everyday being little old me self. I don't want one to run, but I do know that there are people who should not run. I don't think Kamala Harris should run again. I think she made a mistake by saying she was not going to run for the governor, but you know, because she will not win. But I am looking forward and hoping. I am hopeful that Trump will not continue to occupy the White House.
As much as I don't like Elon Musk, Elon, make up with Trump. Go get your Pythagorean theorem kid. You know, the one that liked to dig up his nose. Go get him. Take him back to the Oval. Sit him on Trump's lap and let him be as nasty as we know he can be. Okay? I need Trump to get a kindergarten virus.
Well, he had COVID until.
Yeah, but we know them octogenarians. You get that kindergarten. Look, as a mother of 4, when my kids were younger, I'd say I ain't never been that sick ever in my life. minus the kindergarten to third grade year. I don't know what them kids contract, okay, that have you pleading to the gods, promising that you will never make another mistake if you just get through. I need Trump to experience that, okay? I need him to have a Scrooge experience, okay? I need the 3 ghosts of child illnesses gone past to visit him, okay? Do I think it's going to completely change him? No, but I think that it would incapacitate him enough that we could invoke enough of the Constitution that he won't be a problem for us until Mahalia Jackson can come sing to him and Melanoma can put that pillow where she want to put it. Because we know Melanoma is over Don Sr. at this point. Melanoma done renegotiated her prenup 3 times now. She's ready to send him to Ivana. She have you seen her face lately? She ready to send that man. And speaking of the Trumps, did y'all catch his rant about and yes, I know her name is Melania. I call her Melanoma, okay? She's a cancer to me. Where he started ranting about Melanoma's underwear drawer.
God, no, thank you that I didn't. I tried to watch his speech on Tuesday. I made it 3 minutes in and couldn't take it. Anything beyond that.
About 6 minutes after you couldn't take it anymore,
that was definitely this type of speech that the after breakdown and clip, cutting it down into clips was way better. I don't know who he was. I don't know who he was.
Gotten run off the internet for reposting where that went.
I don't know who he was screaming at. I don't know. It was the quickest he's ever spoken about anything. For him to have done that in 18 minutes is something that at a rally would have taken an hour and a half. The whole thing was just. That might be a new record though for a number of lies within a small within that short of amount of time. That might be a new record even for him. But no, I did try to watch it because that's what we do here, and it is part of what we do. And like I said, I got maybe 3 minutes in. And I couldn't deal with it anymore. Turn the channel to, or I think I turned it to a college basketball game, and then decided I'll wait and go back and I'll do the after breakdown. So I went back to Jen Psaki after he was done. They had fact-checked him. They were trying to keep up, and the 2 people that she had with her were like, this was a lie, this was a lie, this was a lie, and I couldn't get to the rest of the lies because I was trying to fact check the other ones. There were so many I couldn't keep up.
It was
so you got a whole notebook?
4 pages, and then I gave up writing down what was wrong.
Yeah.
I gave up after four pages, and I was like, you know what? And for a minute, I walked around. I checked myself for the signs of a stroke because I said I must be having a stroke because ain't no way.
Cider?
Ain't no way a leader of the free world is. And then I was like, you know what? I forgot. We decided to put the ultimate diversity hire in the White House. So yeah, this is reality. This is what's going on. Mm-hmm.
It's true. He is. You could make the joke that he is a person of color. I don't know what exactly. I don't know what color that is, but he's a person of some kind of color.
He is a very unfortunate.
There's some kind of color. I don't know what color that is, but there's something.
This is one of those.
When somebody said, it's becoming an all too used joke now. But when everybody says, "Boy, he's something," yup, he's something. He's something.
As some good folks in the South would say, bless his heart. He's special.
He's something.
I cannot look at him. I mean, he just makes me want to vomit. He literally does. I just can't. I just can't. So I don't.
And there was one time, it was during his first term. I was going to meet up with some people to have brunch. in northern Kentucky. I had no idea. None of us knew that he was making an appearance in northern Kentucky. Out in the open, underneath a bridge, right where like you could see across from where we were having brunch because it was all glass. I love brunch. Okay, I couldn't even order anything. My stomach turned so quickly. And I'm just like, ugh. And because they shut off all the streets, we couldn't even leave. And then I realized that there were a bunch of people in that same spot having brunch there on purpose to have a view of him. But I am who I am. And I tend to keep a dry erase board in my purse. Did I write and say some things that riled those people up? Of course I did. Of course I did. And to Miss Mildred, who still emails me from time to time because she found my public email address. Ma'am, I don't care how much you love Trump. It's sad. It's sad. And Mildred, I looked you up. You're living with your daughter because you spent all your money and took a second mortgage out on your house to give money to a man that you proclaim is a great businessman. I'm not the dummy here. You are, Mildred. You are.
So do you all really, truly think that, and again, I know MAGA is just, it's a cult. I understand that. But do you, I mean, I know you all were talking about Jim Jones earlier, whatever. I mean, did they seriously drink the Kool-Aid or I mean, do these people, like, I have seen people praying to Trump, all this other stuff. It's like,
they drink the Kool-Aid, they mix it up, they sell their own, they force people around them to drink it, they enjoy it, they love it.
He made it okay to hate the people that these folks already hated anyway. And I really do sometimes think it's that simple, because if any of these folks looked at their own checkbooks with any sense of reality and knew how much they are falling behind and continue to fall behind, and Democratic administrations have not done enough to undo Reaganism and trickle-down economics, and they've not done enough to fix any of it, and they've not raised taxes on the rich nearly enough. You know, the top marginal tax rate when Reagan came to office was still 74%. Even Bernie Sanders only talked about the highest rate of 50%. I'd like to see it go back to Eisenhower at 91%. But at the end of the day, when you can ignore your own checkbook, when you can ignore the fact that your job is either gone or is now underemployment, as far as being underemployed, that you can't afford to see the doctor, your children's school has fallen apart and been heavily divested from, what you're left, sadly, when you peel away all the other pieces of the wrapper, the only thing that you're left with is, he hates who I hate, and he made it okay, because now I can say it out loud and I don't have to hide it anymore.
I don't think they ever hid it.
But
It's always been okay. I think what he gave them was the ability to take things from the people that they hate. They take pride in making people unemployed and taking away scholarships and places in college. That's why they align with him. They now have.
But they're the ones that are suffering. They're the ones that are suffering.
Yeah, they are suffering, but they're looking at it.
The big beautiful bill is going
to because they feel like they're judge, jury, and executioner to the rest of us. Look how giddy they get when they're able to shut a business down, to get someone fired, to remove somebody from their scholarship position or their placement in higher education. That's why they're aligned with them. They've been aligned in hating people. They've been vocal about it.
So what do we make of the folks who, I think 2025 started to show that there's some cracks in the dam, so to speak. So what do we make of the people who are at least outwardly, if not privately, but at least outwardly showing up to be the cracks in the dam? What do we make of that? Is that a hopeful sign? Is it a calculated positioning? Is it real? Is it fake?
It's self-preservation. They see that their Titanic, has hit the iceberg. So they're getting on the life rafts
So,
when they
so
can.
I don't.
They haven't changed their perspective.
So I
They're
don't
gonna
lose
wait
any
for the next one, because you have to think these are the same people who went from being birchers to being outwardly a part of the new Christian right to being a part of the Tea Party to being a part of MAGA. The next iteration, they're going to jump hold on. They're going to lie for it. They're going to uphold it. They're going to protect it. But at the end of the day, historically, the most egregious in society, they want the last thing that's remembered about them is an impression that they decided to stand on the right side of history when that is not their reality. It's nice that there are cracks in the dam right now, but this is about self-preservation. This is about them being able to, when MAGA sinks, these people can still go in and face their coworkers. They can still be accepted by their families. They can still date. This is why, if you notice, whether online or offline, they're like, oh, we can have a difference of political opinion and be friends. Why won't conservative men date us? And like all these things. It's weird. It's self-preservation. It's not a change. It's not educating yourself. It's not deconstructing, because deconstruction doesn't need a parade. It doesn't need pomp and circumstance. It doesn't need a whole series on TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, or Instagram. It is a show of changed behavior, and then people start to notice. When they have to let you know that they're former MAGA and former this, it is just, hey, look at me. So when this ship hits the bottom of the ocean, the political ocean, you still like me. Why do you think Marjorie Taylor Greene is doing what she's doing, but she's still holding on to Code Pink?
But you have to remember that when Trump came down that escalator at Trump Tower in 2015, you have to remember that what he gave them were people, MAGA people. They didn't vote. They were so fed up with the Obamas and the Bushes and the Clintons, whatever. They didn't vote. When he came down talking about, rapists and robbers and thieves and all this other stuff, he gave those people the right to say what they wanted to say out loud. They were not voting for a man. They vote their color. They are voting their color. They're not, they're voting that we can keep this. We can make this all white, whatever. They're voting their color. And when you have people who vote against their interests, you're losing your jobs. You have 8 of the poorest states in the country over and over and over are in the South. I mean, just poor, and you're voting against, you're voting against things that will help you. But hey, as long as we can stay white and, whatever, these people are voting against their color. And when Trump said what he said in 2015, all these people came out of the woodwork and said, finally, we have somebody who may make it to the top, who think the way we do, and we can say exactly what we want to say, and they've never stopped.
They have been voting. He took the people,
but not the way they're voting now.
He took the people. What he did, he took the people from the Reagan Coalition faction of the GOP. He combined them with the people who had not previously voted, and with that, he created a new uprising of a new iteration of the Dixiecrats. He took the people that felt overlooked, and like I said before, what he gave them was the power to take from other people. They know that they're not getting anything out of it, but as long as they can take from others, they're happy. They are happy. They get gleeful when they're like, oh yeah, we got this person fired. I might be poor, but they don't have a job, because they're acting as if this person can't go and get another job. They're acting as if this person will not eventually be okay, because a lot of the people that they're targeting are people who have been marginalized for so long, that are used to having to compensate, having to make a way out of no way. What they're not accounting for is that they're not used to having to make a way out of no way.
Let me ask this. Do you think that the Reagan voters, in terms of education, and the Trump voters, in terms of education, where do you put them? Because I think the Reagan voters are more educated than the Trump voters.
I'm not talking about the standard Reagan voters. I'm talking about a specific faction within the GOP that existed called the Reagan Coalition.
Okay.
They were not the brightest of people. They were not. These are the people who voted for reducing the tax on the wealthy. These are people who voted for more expensive college. These are the people who started that voting against your interests. That's why I said they were voting. They've been voting against their interests. They just got a chance to, with this new iteration of the Dixiecrats, align with people who weren't previously voting. These are people who they're looking at what they think the CEOs of companies do. They really think that these people sit back and go, I'm going to destroy their life. I'm going to destroy their life. I have this control. And this is what they're getting off on. They don't mind suffering as long as they believe that they can take more from the next person. They don't see themselves as being a part of those that have to face the consequences of the legislation. They're acting as if they get this free get out of jail card, that they're helping to punish the rest of us. That's why they're shocked when ICE is coming to their door
but that's
to
why,
take them away.
that's why the collateral damage has to be at critical mass.
So the only thing that you think that it boils down to owning the libs, regardless of the self-inflicted wounds, or have I oversimplified it?
It's owning. They say owning the libs. The owning the libs is just a new dog whistle for owning everybody that's not their mirror reflection. Let's be real, because libs to them is not a white liberal person. Because they will still put whiteness above all else. And for anybody who thinks that I'm reaching, I want you to think about how they talk specifically to black voters. Anytime they want to talk to us, what is the politician going to do specifically for your community? Once somebody is elected, once they're hired into that job, so to speak, they represent all of us. They are to do what's best for the populace, not a singular community. They're letting you know in real time that they're voting for things to be positive for their communities and their communities alone, that they inherently want the rest of us to suffer. They want to feel better than the rest of us, and the only way they can fathom that is by watching us suffer. And unfortunately for them, historically, we're gonna be all right. Because the last time we had a Great Depression, we weren't tossing ourselves off the top of buildings. We were going through a renaissance. We weren't the ones putting up signs in the yard to sell our children like puppies in the rain. That wasn't us. We were able to sustain because we sustained community. In doing this and this wanting to own one another, you're separating yourself from community. You're dismantling community, and you're making things harder on yourself while you think you're making it harder on other people. You're not. You are being the pressure that's taking our coal and turning us into diamonds.
So as we come toward the end of the program and get ready to hand things off to the Villain's View and return to the music at Hot 101, give me something hopeful. Give me something hopeful, something that either you're hopeful about or something that you're hopeful for going into 2026. Something we try to end on a higher note. Not perfection, obviously, not, but something maybe that the perfect isn't the enemy of the good. Something positive. Because I happen to think, just for me personally, as concerned about the free, open, and fairness of the 2026 midterm elections, I am still hopeful about them, generally speaking. The way the polling and the public seems to be trending, I am hopeful about the 2026 midterms. Give me, each of you, if you would, please, give me something hopeful. It could be a person, could be a movement, could be a trend, could be just something personal to you, as long as you're willing to share that. I don't want to over personalize, but you know what I mean.
I I am hopeful that my son, who was 25 years old, he had a really, really good year. I hope he continues to thrive. He will get his master's in June. Um, he has not decided he was going to go on with his PhD. He is an artist,
Mm-hmm.
been working with some really good people out here in California, and I just hope that he continues to thrive. And I hope that he does not have to see a world that is in so much disarray. So I hope, for me personally, on a personal level, I want my son to continue to thrive in 2026.
Taz?
My my hope is that for those that took this year to learn civics, learn about politics, learn about the history of their communities and their nations, that they continue, that they add to it, and they add to who they take on this journey of edification. That is my hope. And I am truly hopeful that that will happen, that there will be an increase for a desire to learn more. And through that knowledge, we make extinct a lot of what ails us today.
That's, I think, a good place to end. Something a little hopeful, because there is so much negativity out there that it's easy to be negative. I think it's easy. We talk a lot on this program about being engaged. It's easy to check out. It's easy to not be engaged. But it's also very, very simple to be engaged. You don't have to buy 35 different newspapers dropped at your door every morning. And yes, there are still some newspapers that are dropped at your door every morning. You don't need to buy 35 different ones and read them all cover to cover. But you do have to be a bit of a consumer about where you do get your news. And I have had MAGA folks on this program, not as guests because they won't come, but in the chat, and occasionally a caller. And if you don't trust domestic media, then take in foreign media, the BBC, the Guardian, NHK from Japan, the CBC from Canada. Take in foreign media. Take in a foreigner's eyes on what is happening inside this country. I just, you need to be engaged. Now more than ever, you need to be engaged. It sounds so glib and contrite, but your country needs you. This is the time to be engaged and to be part of a greater society. One of the greatest lies that the Reagan era, that Reagan himself tried to hoist on the American people, and too many of us took it for granted and took it as truth, is that we are not a society, that we are not a community, that we are merely a collection of rugged individuals. We are nothing of the sort. We are exactly a community. We are one society. If my house burns, my neighbor is in deep trouble. And if my house burns, my neighbor's house is probably going to burn. And then the next and the next, until there's a block of homes that are gone. So we are a society. We are a community. And I'm hopeful for 26. 1 year down. 3 more to go. But I am still hopeful for 2026 that things will change and that things will get better. This is our last live program of 2025. We will return to you on, I did this already and I forgot the date already, the 11th of January. Yes, it is. It's the 11th of January. 2026 will be back to you. With the way the holidays fall, we're not going to do shows on any of the Sundays of the holiday weekends. We will be back on the 11th of January, and with the hope of, as my health is getting a little better, to return to our Tuesday and Thursday night shows as well. But for now, we will see you on January 11th, 2026 for our first live program of the Kennedy Effect for 2026. And I want to wish everybody out there, everybody, even the troll that showed up on YouTube, I want to wish everybody, I'm not going to name him because it's exactly what he wants, I'm going to wish you all the absolute best of this holiday season, no matter what you celebrate or if you celebrate at all, whether it is Christmas, Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, the winter solstice, or you celebrate nothing, whether you choose to be with friends, family, or home alone watching old movies. I wish you nothing but the absolute best for this holiday season. Happiness, peace, comfort, security. If you choose to be with friends and family, then please, by all means, travel safely. Don't drink and drive. That sounds very contrite, sounds very, like a small thing, but it's not a small thing at the holidays. Don't drink and drive. Have a very, very happy Christmas. Have a very, very happy New Year. And we will see you again on January 11th. Let me remind you what you have been doing for the past almost 2.5 hours. This is the Kennedy Effect live with you for the 21st of December 2025. We have been live on the Facebook pages of Our Revolution Pennsylvania and Ghost Claw Productions. Our home group Facebook page is called The Kennedy Effect on Facebook, and we hope that you will all become members of it. When we are not on the air, the news that we talk about can be found at The Kennedy Effect on Facebook. And we have shared the program to 100 plus other places in across the Facebook universe, to every single group, individual groups that are local, regional, national, international, run by one person, administered by many, large, small. Thank you for allowing us to be part of your corner of the Facebook universe. We could not do it without you. We have been live on 2 YouTube channels, and really, I think YouTube is really the best place to watch the program back. If you missed any of it, YouTube, the GCPR YouTube page, gcpr.live, just search GCPR at YouTube, you will find us. And my YouTube channel, which is significantly smaller than the GCPR, to be honest with you, is The Kennedy Effect on YouTube. We tried to design that to be very, very easy for you to find. The Kennedy Effect on Facebook, The Kennedy Effect on YouTube. Very, very simple. The audio of the program, of course, has gone around the globe via hot101.net. You can listen to us at our website, hot101.net. Our name is our website. Apple App Store for Apple devices, Google Play Store for Android, and the TuneIn radio app. Go up to the search bar, type in hot101.net, and you can be listening to us, and all of it is 100% for free. Oh, and don't forget, let's play America's favorite game show. Hey, Alexa, play hot101.net. Now, I actually got someone's Alexa to play hot101.net while I was on the program because it came out of the speaker of the phone and Alexa began to play it. It is my favorite game show. I am a child and I think it's funny, and anytime I can get somebody's Alexa to turn on to hot101.net, I am very, very proud of myself. So hopefully I will find out that this is what exactly happened. To all of the new folks who were in the program today, like Aaliyah and Nightbird, and I'm going to forget some of you. I'm going to miss some because the chat won't go back far enough. Anthony, there were a bunch of new folks in the program tonight. Welcome, welcome, and you are always welcome here. We're here every Sunday from 6 p.m. Eastern Time. We hope that you will return. So, For everyone at Hot101.net, for DJ Lex, DJ Earl, and the entire Hot101.net family, thank you for allowing me to be part of your broadcast day. For those of you there at Hot101.net listening in, the music returns to you right now. Have a wonderful, 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 safe, happy holiday season. For those of you at GCPR.live, got a little bit of a break now. Get some milk, cookies, take the dog for a walk, whatever it is that you need to do. The Villains View pre-show should be starting within a few moments. Full throttle live from 9 p.m. Conversations with T. Nathan from 11. And Thomas kicks off your broadcast work week tomorrow morning with the Sound of Coffee from 8 a.m. So GCPR.live, hang in there, don't go anywhere. The Villains View coming your way shortly for all of us here. Thanks so much for allowing us to be part of your broadcast day as well. We wish you the absolute, absolute best that this holiday season can bring you. Thanks, GCPR. We'll see you again in 2026. For those of you watching on our streaming services, YouTube, Facebook, and so on, thank you again for being part of our program. We couldn't do it without you. 2026 will mark our 7th calendar year of broadcasting. Our 7th anniversary will happen in April. I'm signing off at just the right time because my voice is beginning to give out. Our anniversary will be in April, but when we start in 2026, it'll be the beginning of our 7th broadcast calendar year, and we couldn't do it without you. Thank you so much to everybody at Facebook and YouTube and Instagram and Twitch and everybody that's watching on our video streaming platforms. Thank you so much. For everybody at the Kennedy Effect, that's George and Lynn, Kristen, Daisy the dog, April Riddick. I am Jeff Kennedy. Have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful holiday season. We will see you again in 2026. Please that's about all the damage we can do for one night. Please take care of yourselves.